everybody. Welcome to our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. My name's Aaron Lehman, and I am the host today, and I'm really excited for a new experience this week on this episode 24 with the OOLA coaches that I'm really excited to have here and excited to hear each of their stories today. So we'll dive in with each of them individually today. You'll get a chance to know what they're about, what's, how their lives have been shifted and changed here in the recent years. Anyway, I'm stoked to do it and really thankful for those of you who are joining. If you are brand new to the Our Healing Voices world, there's two to three main focuses for me and the reason I launched this. And one is body, mind, spirit healing. Having traveled around the world, been to India, been to Egypt, been to Jerusalem, seen the world a little bit and have met people from all sorts of backgrounds and with all sorts of body, mind, spirit wellness practices. And so my mind has just been like constantly curious and constantly wondering, okay, how can I shift this in my world? How can I shift this in my world? And just kind of drawing from the wisdom that's out there. And so sometimes I've felt pretty lonely on that healing journey, the body, mind, spirit wellness journey, just that it's like, for me, it's an everyday thing. It's like, okay, how today can I shift things? What do I need to change today? Like it's a day-to-day thing. And so sometimes that feels lonely. Like am I the only one that's waking up listening to weird audiobooks and listening to, positive affirmations to start my day and constantly trying to just like fill my mind with uplifting stuff? Am I the only one going to therapy? Do other people who are going to therapy want to talk about that? I feel like we're in little bubbles, like isolated bubbles. And so the goal of this podcast was, hey, actually, I'm not alone and nor are you. We're not the only ones doing that healing work, and I don't want to pretend that the healing work is a cakewalk, right? Each of us has been through stuff. I think if we watched anybody in this room right now, if we watched each of our individual movies, we would have moments where we would cry and be sad, maybe even angry at reality, like challenges that we've been through. I know those of you who are listening probably have stories that have been really challenging. And so for me, it's a reminder that we're not alone, that other people are saying yes daily to healing. And if Collette can do it, if Kevin can do it, if Wendy can do it, then we all can do it. We all can do it. And no, it's not easy. Maybe it's not the road most traveled by, but it is very possible for us. So that's the one piece. And then the second piece is voices. I like talking. I'm not going to lie. I'm all right talking, but I think probably being raised by two counselors, have extreme curiosity to know what other people are walking through. And I also have realized after I taught high school for 5 years and then have been in this body, mind, spirit coaching world the last 6-7 years, and realizing that my voice can connect with some people, but not all people. And so it's like, okay, let's bring more voices forward because Darla's got a story. Oh my gosh, we're going to hear about it today. So we need more than just Aaron's voice, right? We need all of our voices in the room. And hopefully that'll empower you listeners to realize like your voice is you may need to write a book. You may need to write a book. If you've been thinking like you may need to write a book, you may need to start your own podcast. You may need to, find a way to utilize your voice in bolder and bigger ways. Like our voices are key in my opinion. So, Our Healing Voices, thanks for being here. Those of you who have been around for, the last 23 episodes, welcome back. I think we're going to have a blast today. So the OOLA world for me goes back 6-7 years ago and was stoked about it. Just stoked about this OOLA world. And I'll just give a brief little understanding of it. And then I'll have Gina share a little bit more about this 7F world it's these 7 Fs. And faith, family, friends, fun, field, getting there. Somebody help me.
Family,
fun, friends, faith, field, fitness.
Finance.
And finance. Oh, no wonder that's my 7th. That's the 7th. Clearly probably needs some work in the finance zone. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So these 7 F's are inviting people to take a look at their lives and say, okay, what zones am I challenged by? What zones am I excelling in? And how can I shift things in the zones that I need to shift things, is how I've kind of understood it, having been to a few workshops about OOLA. But Gina, tell us a little bit more about the OOLA world for you and how it came to be.
Yes. So OOLA is basically defined as a state of awesomeness. And so when you think of awesomeness in your life, it sounds kind of funny, but we've all been there when we feel good. Our fitness is on point. Our family is taken care of. We're working a dream job. We have really good relationship with our friends. Our money is on point, and we're just having fun at life. We've all been there. And that is the feeling of OOLA when you're like, man, I got it all together. It feels great, but it doesn't usually last. We go through hills and valleys when it comes to OOLA. So it's this concept that was started by 2 really awesome guys, Troy Omdahl and Dave Braun. They're known as the OOLA guys. And they started this many, many years ago. They would meet up in Las Vegas and sit on the floor of a hotel and write down their goals and dreams for each one of these areas, which is the 7 F's that Aaron was talking about. So it's going to be your fitness, your finance, your field, which is your career, your family, your faith, your friends, and your fun. So what we do is we look at these 7 areas and we say, where are you in these 7 areas? And this is hard for people because you have to really look at your life in these areas and say, okay, I'm great at this, but I'm not so great at this. And, some of these areas are hard for people. Faith is a hard one. Fitness. And when we talk fitness, we're talking your overall health, your mental health, and everything that goes in with fitness. It's hard for people to really assess where they're at. And then with that, we say, okay, where do you want to go in your life? What are your dreams and goals? And then how are you going to get there? So these guys started this in 2008 when the economy crashed. Dave lost everything. They lived their OOLA lives. They were doing great. They had careers and great family lives and everything was great. And then Dave lost it all. And so he called Troy and said, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe where I am. Troy said, it's where you are is where you are. It's not who you are. Let's get you back to, the OOLA life. And so he started working the framework again. And he said, if I can get this back, we're going to write a book. And that's exactly what they did. So, they wrote a book 7 years ago. And then in 2019, just because they've impacted so many people, they decided to start a group of coaches. And that's kind of where we all come in. So we've all been now certified in the framework of OOLA. So what we do is we create, we help people create a lifestyle and a framework so that they can focus on those 7 areas and really find balance and purpose and growth in those 7 areas. So we are all independent coaches, but we are in Arizona and we have kind of teamed together because we all bring such awesome aspects to this group. And we do a lot of things together. We have a Facebook group that we all pour into every day. We do events, which with COVID, it's been a little hard, but finally we're kind of starting to get some events back. Kevin and Darla have a dream bug that they're able to take and collect dreams. I don't know if you've ever seen the OOLA bus, but they drive around. They've driven all over the United States, 48 states. There's about 26 layers of dreams, about 150,000 dreams on this bus. And Kevin and Darla have a bug named Passion that is also collecting dreams. So it has been amazing to be a coach and to grow in this, and to team up with the guys and team up with the other coaches, and personal growth in my life has been huge. As we give our testimonies, like, OOLA has impacted each one of us so big. That's why we decided, you know what, we're going to be coaches, and we're going to teach people that this is exactly what the world needs right now. People are so broken and lost, and they're looking for something to feel like they have purpose in life. And this is a really huge thing that could really help people. So we just want to get our voices out there. We want to tell people, you know, there is hope, and OOLA is one of the tools that you can put in your toolbox to, you know, help you get through this crazy life.
Ooh,
But that's
awesome.
it.
Gina Van Bodegan, you're amazing. Thanks for sharing that. That's so helpful for people who are listening. Great. Yeah, helps me even understand more fully the OOLA vision and that the dreams and goals piece. I mean, right? For some reason at age 12, they all kind of like went out the window for so many of us, or whatever happened, you know? And so it's so exciting that you all are helping individuals regain and like reconnect with their purpose, right? Soul's purpose, and like, okay, how can I find fulfillment? So anyway, thank you. So that's awesome. All right, so we're going to dive into individual stories now. So we're going to hear more from each of these individuals about how OOLA has shifted their world. Yeah, I'm just really excited to just rotate through and hear these stories, because each of your individual transformations has you, like Gina said, has you passionate about helping others step into the state of awesomeness and make personal shifts in their world. So anyway, thanks to each of you ahead of time. And as we rotate through, we're going to begin with Coach Collette. So I'm really excited for you to start us off. So why don't you share a little bit about your OOLA journey up to this point?
Well, I'm Collette, and I first heard about OOLA when their second book came out. They've got a total of 3 books. So the first one, Kevin was sneakily showing it just a little bit ago, was the OOLA Find Balance one. The second book was the OOLA for Women book. Oh, Kevin beat me to it. I don't have the other one, Kevin. OOLA for Christians is the third book. And so I was introduced when they started the second book, the OOLA for Women. I had a friend actually that went to an event where the guys were at, came home and told me about this cool part of the event and how awesome it was. I heard her, but I didn't really know much about the guys at that particular point. And then she was very excited because they were going to be at a book signing in Scottsdale. So she's like, come with me, come with me. So I went and I bought the book beforehand, and her and I were actually getting ready to go on a little road trip to San Diego that following week. And I was like, cool, I'll bring the book and read it when I'll go meet these guys, and I'll read it when I get there. And it's just magical. It's just magical meeting the guys and hearing their story. And I think it was more magical for me being in a small Barnes and Noble environment and being so close to them rather than a very large crowd. It was just awesome. So I immediately read the book afterwards. Again, I loved it. I loved the message. I started following the guys, started hearing their little clips and whatnot on Facebook, but didn't really have them just come through the screen and grab me until International OOLA Day, when they launched their coaching program. When they launched their coaching program, I was literally standing in my kitchen and I saw it come up, and I was like, cool, I like never see live videos of theirs when they're actually doing it, and watched it. And immediately, as soon as that video was done, came in here, signed up, didn't tell anybody in my family I was doing it. I had just a little bit of, I shouldn't say a little bit, I had just enough money from my summer check left to cover that. So I did the coaching, and It is the best secret, the best thing I did on my own. I came across all of these fantastic people. It has been, like Gina said, it's helped me become a better person because now I'm more focused on those 7 F's. I know what areas I do need to work on, what areas I'm really good at. I am a teacher in Arizona here, and I've been teaching for 19 years, mostly taught 3rd grade. I think 16 or 17 years I've been teaching 3rd grade. I did teach 5th grade before that, but my area with all of these coaches is to hopefully impact that future generation. I really love being with the kids. My 3rd graders this year are getting more OOLA than they ever imagined. Passion came this past week, and we put reading goals on, and they love the whole OOLA idea. My whole classroom is, buses and everything. They just think it's so cool. So I'm practicing a lot with my 3rd graders, but my intention hopefully is to be coaching our teens. My son is a 13, almost 14-year-old. I have coached him through a 3-week-ish type program that was inspired by OOLA, follows the same framework of OOLA. He is a goal setter now. We talk at the end of the month about his budgeting and everything. So he's really gotten 5 steps ahead of his peers for sure, just in his whole mindset. I mean, being age 13, he has his own bike business, t-shirts and everything, not necessarily inspired by OOLA, but it has definitely helped motivate that child for sure. And I just want to be able to help other young people go into life knowing more what to do and how to help them. So that is my OOLA story.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks for being a teacher and for 19 years and sharing so much love in that in your classroom year after year. And
it's fun this year.
And so awesome hearing you share more about just how OOLA has shifted, and signing up for that coaching program was like light bulb went off. Boom, let's do this.
Yep.
And your son is rock. Anyway, that's so cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So moving on to our next chair is Wendy Cardell. So excited to have you here and looking forward to hearing how OOLA has shifted and made your life better.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. So yes, I am Coach Wendy. And I actually heard about the OOLA guys and the whole OOLA principles for the very first time, actually at a live event that I attended back in 2015. And I got the book and I read part of the book and I got excited about it and I put the book away and life went on. I loved the ideas that I read about, but I just did not implement any of them. And so I actually fast forward to 2019 and I was at another event and the guys were there again. And, when Dr. Dave and Dr. Troy get on the stage, they have a presence like they just move you with their passion. And you can tell that OOLA is working in their lives and that they are very passionate about helping others find that OOLA life. And at the time, Troy shared a story at that time about elephants and how the difference between when elephants are in captivity and then when they get to freedom, and that they are so scared. For instance, they get on those stakes when they're in captivity and they never move away from that stake because they're trained, they've been taught, their mindset has been, I can't move away from that stake. And in reality, we know that an elephant can easily pull up that stake and go wherever they want, but they've been trained that they can't. And so that really spoke to me because I needed to hear that. And I actually put a sticker on the back of the bus that day that said, I will not live in fear like an elephant. And that was in 2019. And then come 2020, I found out about the OOLA coaching program. And at the time, everything happens for a reason. We are all here right now for a reason. And At the time, I was looking for something because I love serving and helping others. I always have. I've always had a servant heart. And the opportunity to coach people in this process, I thought was just fantastic. So I signed up for the coaching. I really didn't know where it was going to take me, I'll be honest. And probably at the beginning of the coaching program, you kind of go through your own process with the guys one-on-one. And I had this shift in movement in my life that I can't even share, but it was around actually one of the blockers of guilt. And I realized how much that had held me back in my own life. And honestly, if I just took the coaching program for that, for myself, and I never did anything with it, it would have been totally worth it, because it's allowed me to move forward with something that I felt guilty about for over 25 years. Mm-hmm. So what I quickly realized as I finished up my coaching program was that there's other people just like me. I know that I'm not the only one that's gone through that. I know I'm not the only one that feels guilt or fear or self-sabotage or these things that we call OOLA blockers. And the cool thing is that we also have what we call OOLA accelerators. And it was honing in on some of those accelerators, like gratitude for me, that really has made the whole shift in my life in all the 7 F's. I felt like I was humming along on lots of the areas, but I realized how much some of these areas were really lacking. I hadn't had fun in for so long, once in a while, but really fun is for other people. It wasn't for me. And so honestly, just being able to hone in on that, and for me, faith and being able to come back and find that again for myself has been really a blessing in my life. So one of the things that we talk about in our coaching is, who can we help? And I have a passion for helping people who've been through some of the same fires that I've been in myself. And I'm actually going to share a little bit more about that later in our interview. But we all have been somewhere. We've been through the fires. We've all been through fires. And we all, as you so eloquently said earlier, Erin, we all have a voice that we can share with somebody else. We can hold back that hand. We can reach out and say, I've been there, and let me hold your hand and just walk with you. And that is what makes me feel, I guess, complete about being a coach, is that it allows me to reach out and help other people and help them find their OOLA life, help them find that recovery that you chatted about and that healing. And we all need that. So that's why I'm excited. I'm so excited to be with this group. Let me tell you, this group of coaches, and we're missing some of us today, but that has been an absolute blessing to me, each one of them in their own way. So that is my OOLA story. And thank you so much for having us here to share more about OOLA, Erin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Wendy, thank you so much for sharing your story and giving us a glimpse into your journey with the book and the concepts and the process, and how you, go you for having that courage, right? Wow. And I know there's other folks out there listening, and on the journey that have their own guilt hanging. And so thanks for being raw and sharing that. It's just proud of you for taking those big steps and sharing your voice. Okay, Rob, excited to hear your story, and tell us a little bit about your journey with OOLA.
Thank you, Erin. Hey everybody, my name is Rob Cohen, and I'm also here in Arizona. So I heard about OOLA probably the first time was 2017. And when I heard about them, I didn't really hear a lot. I didn't know a lot. I knew it involved 2 guys, a bus, and some essential oils. That was really it. And that's about what I heard for a couple of years. And I saw them at a convention I went to every year and saw the guys, but never really heard them or understood really what OOLA was. And then in 2018, we moved from California to the Phoenix area. And I hadn't been here very long, and a friend of mine said to me, hey, there's this really cool event because I want to network with new people called Ignite. Why don't you go to Ignite? So I did, and that was in 2019. And so then I got there and I saw the bus there and saw the guys there. I'm like, oh, cool, I get to finally actually hear them. So that's when I heard them really for the first time and got an idea of who they were. And I could see right away what attracted me to them and to OOLA was really just their positivity and the love that they pour into other people and their caring. And I really feel like it's something that I don't see a lot in life. So it really caught my attention. And then about 3 months later, I heard them again at an event that I was in Minnesota and got to experience them at a little bit more intimate level. But I still didn't buy the book. And then I heard that later the year, as the year went on, I heard their announcement for coaching. And then that year when I went to the convention in Salt Lake City, I was like, oh, because I also like Wendy and like you, Aaron, and like everybody else, have a heart for helping people. I've always wanted to help people, just didn't know how. So I found them and I just said, I've never read the book. Can I even be a coach? Like, will you even consider me? And they're like, of course. And it was great. So then I got pumped and excited. That's when I really started learning about OOLA. Later that year, went to OOLA in Vegas. And that's when I really got immersed into OOLA more than just even the certification program, because it was just about me and I was just focusing on me those couple of days. And that's when, because really when you think about it, the principles are really simple. Like, great, where are you today? Where do you want to go? And what are your goals? And they're not uncommon things that I've never seen about before. But the way that the guys really delve into things, because I always judge myself in the past. So I could never just say where I am today is not who I am today. I always made it about who I was and associated where I was with I'm a bad person, or things like that. I was always judgmental. But there was something different that year that I got to take a look and really examine, where am I? Where do I want to go? And really remove that judgment, which was new for me. I had never done that before. And like Wendy, I had a lot of guilt in life, a lot of pain. I have been working on a lot of healing that goes back to my childhood. But I was really able to take a look at areas and examine them. And quite honestly, going into 2020 and everything that happened last year, I really cannot imagine my life last year if it were not for OOLA. Because of the new tools that I got. I already had some tools, but again, a whole bag of newer tools. And the fact that when you hear the guys talk, like I've never literally to this day ever heard them say one bad, negative, mean thing. I mean, it's always love, it's always uplifting, and it's always speaking to our higher selves. And again, because I did not always have that in my life, that has been huge. And that's what I believe too. I want to spread that same love out into the world. And similar to kind of like what Wendy was saying, I too have a heart for helping people who've been along a similar journey to me. And I feel like there's a lot of guys out there. I mean, I help everybody, but I do feel like there's a lot of guys like me that were raised with abuse and some other things. And I think as a man, it's harder to process at times because the world is judgmental. They think, oh, you're a man, you have to have it all together. And just some of the societal crap that is out there. So that's really where my heart is at. And again, I could not. And then when I met all these coaches last year, I mean, that was just another huge gift and blessing because again, there's just an amazing group of uplifting people that we can be lucky and have that relationship together here locally, which is nice and unusual, and there's no competition. There's just pure love with each and every one of us. So that's how I found OOLA.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rob. Thanks for being here and sharing your voice. And yeah, I hear you saying that just the guys, the OOLA guys, like just their Troy and Dave, their passion for just positivity. Every time you've heard them speak, it's like they're inviting people into their higher self. Like, hey, what are your dreams? Or how can you shift that? And the community, it sounds like the community just has been huge for you, and the additional tools that you've gained from doing OOLA work on yourself and supporting others. It's like just been huge for you. 2020, it helped make 2020 not nearly, I mean, it was a year. It was a year for, I'm sure, many of our listeners, it was a year. So to have that community locked in with you is wonderful. Yeah, thanks for sharing, brother. Boy, and yes, I echo some of the, as a man, the expectations that, again, we all are born into this world and have different voices of expectation of how you're supposed to show up. Yeah, I know that happened, but just move on already or whatever. And so thanks for sharing that as well. I mean, I definitely empathize there. And I know there are a lot of men that are just wishing they could actually talk about what happened or what's going on inside of them, So thanks for being a voice of safety for other men and for other people on the journey.
You got it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, Coach Amy Franks, would love to hear your OOLA story.
Hi, guys. I'm Amy, and I owe even knowing anything about OOLA to the Lehman family, because if it wasn't for going to Ignite and being able to go to this big convention every year in July, I never would have gotten to see them speak and fallen in love with them. So very first time I ever heard about OOLA was probably like 2015 Ignite maybe. And my friend went to Ignite and she won the OOLA Infused 7 Essential Oil Kit. And she was so excited and she brought it home and she was like, you have to smell these and here's this book, you have to read it. And so I bought the book and read it and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then it came around to go to convention and I went to convention and I got to hear him speak. And kind of, when you hear them speak, you always get to go through like a little mini OOLA, the 3-week course in like 2 hours, And I thought it was really cool. And I made some fitness goals. I got to see them again at Ignite the next it was like every 6 months, I got to see them for a good couple years. And so I went to Ignite in 2017 and it just struck me that time. Something just really struck with me and the bus was there. So I got to put a sticker on the bus. And at that time, I was really worried about fitness because like 2007, I was diagnosed hypothyroid, like severely hypothyroid, and I've struggled with weight ever since then. And so I put the sticker on the bus and it was to lose 90 pounds. And the OOLA framework is great because it breaks everything down. And, you have like your 7 goals and then you break those down to little mini goals so that you can achieve them. And then you have your big OOLA 1 goal. And so I was able to break it down using the OOLA framework and figure out what I needed to do. I found a doctor, did a medically supervised weight loss program. And by the time Ignite rolled around again, I got to go up to Dave and say, hey, I lost 90 pounds. That was my goal on the bus. And it was really cool. And actually, if I turn off my video, you'll see every time I met them, I took a picture with them. So you can see my weight loss, which is really cool. I love that part about it. Unfortunately, my thyroid didn't like all the good weight loss that I had. And I got really sick again and I gained 110 pounds back and really struggled with that. But I was able to go back to the OOLA framework, rework everything and figure out what I needed to do. And now I'm back down to a lower weight than I was in that small picture there. And so that's what I really love about OOLA is there's tons of coaching programs out there, but I really feel like OOLA helps you become a more well-rounded person. Like in the coaching industry, balance is kind of like a taboo word, like, oh, balance is impossible. We're not trying to help you like come to absolute 100% balance. What we're trying to help you do is to be more balanced. We want to make sure that your wheel spins in all the areas. It's so easy, especially for me in the beginning, before I really understood what OOLA about, was to worry about just one area of my life. So I was really worried about fitness. Yeah, it's great. You need to worry about fitness, but you can't let your finances fall. You can't let your faith fall. You can't let your family fall. So that's the great thing about OOLA, is it all gets broken down so that you can manage all of those areas of your life, and without letting it. I like Dave always talks about having the plate spinning. And it's really true. We all have all of these plates spinning on a stick every day, and being able to bounce from each one and finding the balance to keep them all up and not broken on the floor is really important. And that's what I really like about OOLA. In between becoming a coach and finding OOLA way back when, I did another coaching program. It cost a whole lot of money. I went through it. It was great while I was doing it, but it didn't strike me the same way that OOLA does. And I really think that OOLA is a good framework for anybody to find what they're passionate about, what their goals are, and to make those things happen. I became a coach last year. I was super excited about the coaching, having ended the other coaching program that I had paid for and gone through. I was excited to become an OOLA life coach, because by then I really understood the value of what the OOLA guys had to offer and the way that our program works and how I could impact people's lives in a way that I knew would be able to help them and benefit them. I'm a nurse, so I already want to, help people. And I think I feel more fulfilled doing the coaching than I do even in my nursing job. I just really love it. And I think OOLA is the best thing out there.
Oh, so good. That's great. Oh, Amy. Well, thanks for being a nurse too. But I'm really, thanks for doing what you do. But also,
Yes.
yeah, it sounds like the OOLA framework has been huge for you.
Yes.
Just like I love how you said it's like you have this big goal, right? And it sounds like the framework sets you up. So, all right, let's break it down. And it's really helped you shift things in your own wellness journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the coaching piece is you love working with people and just helping them find solutions. And then the fulfillment you feel with that is huge. It sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so good. All right. We're going to move on to you, Darla McCamey. Really excited to hear your story and how OOLA has shifted your life for the better. Really stoked.
Well, I was also introduced to the OOLA guys around 2015 at Ignite. So thank you for the Lehman family. And I enjoyed their presentation so much. It was about less stress, more balance, more purpose. And I got the book right then and there. And back in the day, they had OOLA University. I don't know if some of you guys knew that or remember it, but we had CDs with Dr. Dave doing a little program, and then we had a OOLA University workbook to go through. And so I got my friends together and we did that. And I did it several times with different groups. And what happened was some of my friends would drop off mid 6 week-ish. Around week 4, they would just like not show up again. And I just thought, okay, well, we're all busy. People just didn't prioritize this, or, I didn't influence them enough or something like that, right? But then months went by and I figured out, and they came to me later and told me, well, I stopped because I was like, whoa, in my life. And I had to just like stop right there, because they figured out this big transformation could be possible, but they had this huge block that they hadn't ever dealt with. And that's why they stopped. They didn't tell me this till months later, so I didn't know. And I couldn't figure out. They were just like, no, I'm not going to make it, And so that got me just like, wow. And then to this day, they've changed a little bit and they work through some things, but really their lives haven't changed all that much, because I keep in touch with those first, group of people that I initially started helping. They're my friends and family. And I have to admit that even though I've known about OOLA for all those years, I didn't exactly follow that process either. Like I wanted to do it my way. Like I'm kind of doing OOLA, kind of, right? We just want to do it our own way because that's who we are. We're human. We're sort of living OOLA. That's just what happens naturally. And so I can read all these other help books and stuff, and you work through bits and pieces, but it's not really profound. And so my husband and I love our life together. We have a wonderful life. You'll meet Kevin in a few minutes. We're blessed. I mean, we have happy, healthy kids. We have a nice place to live. We love our work. It's all good, and we're so appreciative. But we just started to feel like our life was day to day, that settled, that comfortableness, that mediocre lifestyle, right? And then as we started watching Kevin's aging parents, we were helping to care for them and daily just caring for them and checking on them and supporting them for several years. And we look at their life and they just really didn't have a lifestyle anymore. I mean, they weren't living. They weren't able to go visit or have friends or travel anymore or do anything. They were really confined to their home for several years. And Kevin and I looked at that and we're just like, we have to change. Like, we're going to live while we're alive, right? So many people are living, but they're not really alive. And so Kevin and I, we made a decision that we were going to be alive. And I'm always like the dreamer one of the group. And I have all these things and I'm lifelong learning. And so I've listened to the OOLA guys. We've also seen them at, a book signing where it's intimate and we really get to talk to them. And so we're working on it through these years, but we weren't really doing it. And so as soon as the OOLA guys said that they were opening it up to coaching, we were just like first in line. We're doing this, And then right after we enrolled, we got our certification, and then it was time for OOLA Palooza. And so we went to OOLA Palooza, and that's the first time my husband got to see the OOLA guys speak. But for me, and he'll tell you his experience and his story, so I won't go there. But for me, OOLA Palooza, seeing them after I went through the certification and meddling with OOLA and doing it my own way for a while, one of the things that Troy really said, I'll have to post something for you guys later about Linda. It's all about doing it our own way. And he says over and over and over again, trust the process. You have to trust the process of OOLA. And when you really start doing it, your life will change. And with that, I feel like group coaching, one-on-one coaching from Dave and Troy at OOLA Palooza, we came away different that day, that weekend. And that's when we really started to live again. And today we have more energy, we feel great, we're happier, we're healthier, our marriage is even stronger, and we're more in love. And I don't know how that can be possible, right? And I lost 20 pounds, you guys. And that wasn't exactly what I was going for, but it is on the bug for me to lose actually I put on the bug a certain weight that was 10 pounds, and I let go of 20. And it's been 8 months or so, and I feel great. And other people are saying, what are you guys doing? How come you're so happy? I want a marriage like yours. What's going on? And so that in itself warms my heart, because OOLA is not about me, but I share my story because I've seen people just get stuck in those struggles and not have a way out. And then a lot of people don't even know what struggles they are until they really go through OOLA. So the 7 F's and the OOLA guys and the bus and the bug, and it's so colorful and fun. And just even the word OOLA is fun, right? And I'm all about fun, so you guys will know that. But OOLA gets pretty deep pretty quick. And that's where it can kind of catch you off guard if you're not ready for it. And it's powerful, and it's passionate, and it's powerful, and it'll change your life. So that's what we're about at OOLA. So if you guys find yourself there and you find yourself stuck, get a hold of Aaron. He's all about it. Get a hold of any of us. We're there. We all have different stories, yes, but we know how to help you.
Woo. Yes. Yes. I mean, that's living, being alive. I mean, some really beautiful pieces there, Darla. Just, yeah. This is, I have to tell this quick story. Like hearing you say that, when I first ventured out of the classroom into the entrepreneurial world, my grandma was concerned that I was pursuing wealth or something, you know, like that I just was wealth centric. And I was like, Grandma, every day I go to teach, there's probably like 30% of teachers that actually want to be there. Like 70% are struggling to even wake up each day and show up there. I was like, there are a lot of people that are just want new life, want new vigor, want new passions and purpose, you know? And I feel like, so anyway, when you're describing that, it's like, I just want more people to have opportunities to do things that they love. And it sounds like that's how you've viewed OOLA. It's how it's shifted your world, where it's, and then you started to, you know, it's like you see people who are like sleepwalking, and you're like, no, let's not sleepwalk. We could, right? So it's, yeah, fun to hear you talk through that. And then just modeling it, doing your best to live it. And then inviting other people to take a look as well and make the shifts. And like you said there at the end, holy moly, right? It's deep. It's deep. When you're looking in the mirror, right? When we're looking in the mirror, I know our listeners, right? They're looking in the mirror, and it's like, sometimes we look in the mirror and it's like, ugh, come on, man. Come on now. You know, or what, like we see something from our past, or, so you're right. It is deep. But like when you think about that, the possibility of more vibrant life, that's super cool. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for sharing. Okay, Kevin, all you, man, all you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on the Our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel. We certainly appreciate that. We're so glad to be here today.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks also for letting Darla go first so that she could kind of introduce my story. And I don't have to tell you the whole thing. Awesome. Since I was 3 years old. So that's good. You guys don't have enough time for that. November, a couple years ago, my dad, as Darla had alluded to, had been caring for my mom for like the last 5 years. She had come to a place where she was bedridden. And he told us about 6 months prior to that it had literally just kind of wiped him out. He was spent. So he was starting to get weak. He could tell that he just couldn't do it anymore. And we started the process of, we actually got them into assisted living instead of their own apartment. And then my mom had another problem, and she was in the hospital, and then she was in rehab. And we were so busy caring for her that all of a sudden, during that week, my dad gets sick, and Monday morning, we're rushing him to the hospital. And this is pre-COVID. We don't think it was COVID, but it was something similar to that. He somehow contracted pneumonia. And he was in the hospital for 3 days. And then one day he was gone. And yes, his body was still there, but I was left standing in that hospital room with his wallet and his phone, which I'd given him, and his keys. And I realized those things that I never leave home without, right? Got to have your wallet, got to have your phone, got to have your keys when I go out. He left them He didn't need them anymore. And there's only so long that we're all going to be here. And we better make the best of it while we're here, which he did. And I'll tell you about that later. But right after that, like a week, 2 weeks later, we went to OOLA Palooza, the convention for OOLA, which is a training 2-day session, high intensity, get inside your own head and get inside your heart and figure out what is going on in there. And what would you know, wherever you are, that's where you are, as Gina alluded to. But where do you really want to go? And they have you fill out these stickers, these different colors of stickers for fitness and finance and family, so on, faith, field, and fun. And you kind of narrow it down during this process. Okay, these are the 7 things that I want to work on this year. And this one, this is the one. This is what I've got to do. And so, and we also pick a word of a year. So I had tried for years and years to lose weight and be more healthy and be more fit. Unfortunately, I love ice cream. I love chocolate. I love to eat. I enjoy good tasting foods. I love soda. I loved coffee. And I was not, you know, giving those things up like I probably needed to in order to achieve my goal. So I was making this goal every year, but I wasn't doing it. Well, at OOLA Palooza, I said, all right, this year, my OOLA accelerator and my word of the year is integrity. And I know Rob has mentioned this before. He may not have said it today, but integrity was my word of the year. And it was not just about being truthful to other people. I was doing that, but I wasn't being truthful to myself. I was making these New Year's resolutions every year, and then by February, well, I messed up. I missed a day. I missed 3 days. I guess I'll try again next year. And that's just not going to work. And it didn't. It never did work. So this year I came out with that word integrity, and I came out with a list of daily activities that I was going to be doing. I was going to walk every day. And I started walking a mile, and then I was able to walk 2 miles, and then it was 3 miles, and then a 5K every day. And that was over the span of 6 months or so. And I finally got it in my head that I needed to get rid of coffee. And so I took up tea, green tea if possible. And I went on a detox program. Yes, my wife is going to be laughing during this because she's been telling me these same things for the last 16 years. Okay. So that's why she's smiling so big. Finally, somebody got into his thick head. Anyway, so I gave up coffee. I gave up soda. I started drinking tea on a detox program and was working out. What else we do? She finally convinced me that we should be eating green and clean. So vegetables, fresh fruits, fresh meat, not packaged, not fried chicken. Tastes good, but boy, does it stick around for way too long, right? So we changed how we ate. And as she already alluded, she lost weight. Well, guess what? Amazingly, so did I. And by December, I had to get new jeans and new pants for Christmas because the old ones were falling off of me. Thank goodness for COVID, I didn't need pants part of the year last year. So that was a good thing. And I went to the doctor in December, and he said, hey, you know what? You don't need to take your diabetes medicine anymore. amazing. What a great thing to happen. And all because of the OOLA guys, the OOLA book they wrote, and the process of setting your goals and dreams and then following just 3 simple steps a day allowed us to make that change and that transformation in our life, so that when we get to be the age of my parents were, we can actually still live our lives, and we won't be confined to staying at a home, hopefully, and we'll be able to live full lives the whole time we're on the earth. That's our main goal. And to be alive and energetic and vibrant, that word used a while ago, the entire time. And our mission is to share that with everybody else in the world so that they realize they can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, one of the things we do is we always write down 3 things that we're grateful for. Dr. Dave tells a story of his nephew, Jared, which I won't tell you the story. I want you to read the book or listen to the audio book and hear it yourself from Dr. Dave. But that story about gratitude has been on my wrist, where it says, be grateful, have faith, live OOLA. It's been on my wrist for a year and a half now, ever since I heard that story. And this young man was a great example of that, because the letter they found in his room after he had passed away from leukemia said that he wrote a letter to God and said, thank you that it was me. I am so thankful it was me that got leukemia, not my brothers and sisters, not my mom and dad, or my Uncle Dave. So my call to you is to be grateful every day. We have so much. We would like to have more. We would like to have more experiences. But if we'll be grateful and really look to serve other people, we're going to get everything we ever needed. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, that's, what jumped out at me was, you talked about the integrity, right? Just the journey of the resolutions and the goal setting and, I want to shift that and how to really lock it in. It sounds like choosing that word really then allowed you to say, okay, like I can no longer, lie to myself. Like I've got to be real and honest with myself. And by doing that, these 3 things are happening daily. Right. And
exactly.
It's so anyway, just so proud of you for doing that. And modeling that, right? Modeling. At the end of the day, everybody's got their story, right? Everybody who's listening has their story, has their challenges, their blockers. You guys have been saying OOLA blockers, OOLA accelerators. Everybody's got their stories. And I think when we hear what other people have shifted, have faced, and thanks to each of you for sharing today, because it's giving people an idea of like, okay, if that's the goal, all right, where, do I need to sign up for a coach? Do I need to find a coach? Is that step 1? Because I need accountability. Do I need to join? How can I be a part of a group like this? Right? I need to be a part of a group like this so I can shift things. What's going to help me create that daily accountability? And so, just proud of the healing you're doing, Kevin. And for me, it always, it's funny. I honestly maybe I expect women are, doing the healing work. Like, I just think that all women are like engaged in the healing process or something, and sometimes I'm like, so when I hear other men that are like locked in, I'm like, go, yes. Like, because, and so exciting, you know, like what you all are creating together is it's such an invitation. So I'm proud of each of you individually, but also the collective visioning y'all are doing is so huge and such a good reminder. I think that, hey dudes, hey men on the planet, like we can grow too. We can heal too. We can address our crap too. We can, you know, make the shifts. So yeah, appreciate you for Kevin and Rob, you know, just on the dude front. Thanks for choosing it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Gina Van Boot again. What's going on? Gina and I go back a little ways, actually a long ways, perhaps to our teen years. In fact, she's married to a guy that was my neighbor growing up for 8 years, like 5th grade to 4th grade. I think 4th grade to 12th grade. And Jason is such a special dude. And so I'm so happy, like, and I don't know if he knows that I think he's such a special dude, but he is a special dude, and it just makes me so happy he found you and you all get to do life together. So Gina, tell us a little bit more about your OOLA story.
So, like a lot of you, I found out about OOLA from you, Aaron. In 2014 is probably when I first heard about it. And like a lot of people on here, I got the book and I did nothing with it. I thought, oh, this is cute and it's got the cute little bus and this sounds fun, but I didn't do anything with it. And then in 2017, there was an event and I wasn't able to attend the event, but I wanted to go see the bus because I had seen these pictures and, you know, heard stories, and I was like, I want to go check it out. So me and my family drove down, and I had to work that day. So I was at the tail end. I'm like, I hope I can see it. So we pulled in and I saw the bus and I was so excited. So me and my daughter got out and we ran to the bus. And when we were running up there, they were actually packing everything up. The event was over and they were packing up to leave. And so as soon as they saw us coming, they opened up the doors, they pulled everything out. And that was my first taste of meeting them. And when I realized, like, they're here for us, like they want to collect our dreams. They want to tell us what their vision is. They're all about us. And it was so fun. They took pictures with us. They talked with us. They talked with my kids. My little one, I think, was 3 at that time, and they were on the ground with her, you know, right. It was just the coolest thing. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that was done, I became OOLA obsessed, is what I like to tell everybody. And I started watching their Facebook Lives and I read their book, and I was just like, oh my gosh, these guys have it. They have exactly what I need to hear. And I would watch their Facebook Lives every single morning while I got ready. So that's what fed me every morning was, you know, they speak so much positivity into my life, and they, you know, told me to get over the fear and get out of toxic relationships and just all this stuff that I've struggled with for so many years. And they're telling me, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is how it can be. And I thought, okay. And then I started applying it. And that's when I really started to see stuff work and change. The first thing that I really attached to was their phrase, be grateful, have faith. And they say, be grateful for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. There's lessons to be learned in every situation that we go through. And so it really started to get me to start, like, when I would go through something, I'd say, what am I supposed to learn through this? What is this teaching me? And that's really how I would go through things in my life. And that was like so huge. That was my favorite thing. I actually got it tattooed on my arm. I don't know if you can see it. Be grateful, have faith. Anyways, I got that for my birthday one year because I was just like, that speaks to me. And then I got to meet them again in 2019 at the event. And I went just to see the guys because I just loved them. And I saw you there, and I think I cried and hugged you and Sarah. And I was like, I'm here because I love OOLA and it's because of you. And they just changed me. And Aaron knew that because I always shared that with him. They took me. I was a person that just kind of lived my life, and I rolled with the punches, and I wasn't passionate about anything. And I just like everyone else, I wanted to help people all the time. I just didn't know how to help people. And I felt like I kind of lived in a world of blockers, of fear and guilt and self-sabotage and laziness. And then I, you know, started to come out of that. And that's, you know, that's when I started to really see the changes in my life. When they launched the program in 2019, the coaching program, of course, I thought it sounded amazing. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't have the experience. I don't know how to talk to people. I don't have the education. I didn't go to college. I can't do that. And that all that was fear, because that's what I've let run my life. Fear of what everyone will think, telling me that I couldn't do it. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I did. And it was really scary. But it has been the biggest blessing in my entire life. It's brought so many amazing people into my life, and it's really made me take a look at my life, all the different areas, all the different F's, and assess everything and do what I need to do and move things around. And my life has just completely blossomed. And in OOLA, we always talk about changing the world with a word. And you know, it sounds crazy, but the way we change the world is by changing ourselves and letting that light shine and letting people see your vulnerabilities. And that's how we change the world. And it's been amazing. You know, and I think the biggest thing is just getting over the fear and the self-sabotage of not being perfect. That was one of the qualifications for being a coach, is you have to love OOLA, you have to love people, and you can't be perfect. And when they said that, I was like, okay, I love OOLA, I love people, but I have to be perfect or I can't make this work. And that, you know, that was just fear fueled, thinking that I had to be perfect all the time. And I've learned that I don't have to be perfect, that I can show imperfections. And that's actually what gets people to understand me and relate to me, and want me to coach them, is that we've, like, you know, a lot of people have said, we've been through these things and we've had these fears. And so it's amazing that we can use those to help other people realize that, you know, they're powerful themselves. So that's kind of my story.
Yeah. Oh my. I always get emotional here. I think because I've known you for 20 years, I'm always get emotional when you, whether you send me a video or, you know, through Facebook, I'm always like, wow, so proud of you, Gina.
It's been a huge change for sure.
I mean, I just feel this when I, like, every time I hear you talk now, and when you send me video, like, I'm like, oh, Gina, woo, you know, and I think that, yeah, I'm just so proud of you for making those shifts. And, you know, I think just, right, why we spend so much time wondering, like, who's judging us. I mean, I feel like that's probably my noisiest blocker, right? Is like, oh, my grandma's judging me. Oh, my, you know, my friend that I haven't talked to in 19 years who looks at my Facebook story is judging me. You know, I just make up all of these people are judging me stories. And it's like, it's ultimately just all made up, you know? And you just said, you know what? I got to stop allowing those voices to dictate how I show up, right? And it's like, I'm just proud of you for pushing through that and finding this community and just diving in. It's so exciting to hear that. And I think it's a reminder for listeners, you know, I think all of you today sharing your voices, it's a reminder that, yeah, I mean, it's not like you just said, it's not a perfect, you know, I'm not trying to be perfect. Like, oh, by the time I turn 43, I'm going to be perfect and then just lock in for the rest of my, no, we're human. We're going to be tripping and then we're going to be in OOLA bliss, and then we're going to have a bump, and then, you know, like, so this is part of the journey. But how much cooler is it to do it alongside others, right? Like, where, you know, like, hey, and sometimes it's just knowing that somebody cares, right? That somebody's got your back, you know, like if you're struggling, you know, that you could call any of these folks, right? You could call any of them, myself included. You know, like, call me, you know, like, so I think, you know, if you're listening today, or, you know, watching on YouTube, yeah, just know you're not alone. Know you're not alone. And whether coaching is something you're desiring, you know, reach out to these folks. If you feel like that's a shift you need, you need that accountability. Yeah, I think that for me, accountability is the only, like, it's why I'm able to stay healthy, right? I mean, it's like, because it's not just about Aaron, and you just said it, right? To change the world, right? It's not just about Gina. It's not just about Wendy. It's not just about Amy. It's like, no, when Amy's taking care of herself and living the OOLA life, right? When Collette is saying yes to that, when any of us are saying, it gives others permission to also then rock it out, right? And step into that next level of life and living. And so thank you so much for all of you sharing your stories. And we're now going to shift into individual questions we're going to ask each person. So we're going to start back to Collette, if that works for y'all. And we'll start with Collette. And so when stress levels are feeling high, and hopefully this will be helpful, those of you who are listening on podcast, or if you're on YouTube, hopefully this will be helpful to you. You'll get some little nuggets of what these different coaches are doing to support themselves on the regular. So when stress levels are high, super high in your life, Collette, what are some of your go-to strategies to help you find the earth again, to ground out?
Well, I love this question. I'm so glad that you asked me that, because this one, it all ties back to what almost every single one of these coaches said. It goes back to that one word, and that word is OOLA. I mean, it goes back to that framework. It goes back to so many of the different things that we do in OOLA. My whole social media is fun to go on now, because I'm friends with all these people, and my feed is just filled with all these awesome things people are doing and inspiring others to do. So, like I said before, I am a teacher, and everybody last year struggled. They struggled big time. And some of them are still struggling this year, being, part online or in the classroom with the masks, everything. And I will be honest with you, this year is, out of the 19, is my most favorite year. And I really think a lot of it has to do with this framework and these people that I am surrounded by. I'm just going to tell you two things, and then I'll let you ask the other person or the next person a question. But as far as going into the framework and some of the things that we do teach others how to do, Kevin touched upon it briefly, and it's our 3x5 note cards. I think that has helped me a ton, because on the 3x5 note cards, I'm just going to give you a little sliver of it, and then you can kind of look into OOLA a little bit more to find out what some of these words I'm going to say mean. But on our 3x5 cards, we plan out our day the night before, and so that we know exactly when we're getting up what our day is going to entail. And we have two sides to it. We have one side that's Skittles and one side that's oranges. Our Skittles are our everyday things that we have to do, doing the laundry, picking up the groceries, whatever. Things that we don't always love to do. Yes, there's Kevin's holding it up. And then we have our oranges, and our oranges are those big steps that are going to take us to our OOLA life, our goals. And if you want to lose weight, you can't be just picking up the groceries. You've got to do those things. Go on that walk every day. You've got to go to the gym. Whatever it is that you're doing, you have to do those steps. And actually, this week, we are going to be talking on our Facebook page, our Live Differently on Purpose page, on what this whole scenario is. So you guys could tune in to it or go back and look at it if you're watching this later. But if you have all the Skittles in, you can't put those oranges in. They don't fit into the day. But if you put the oranges in first and then you sprinkle in all of those other things, everything fits. And if you have that mindset of that's how your day is going to plan out, it alleviates so much stress. So, some days you have a longer list of things to do and not so many goals, but you're doing something every single day. And with the 3x5 cards, if you do 3 action steps towards those goals, 3 oranges every day over the course of a year, you take over 1,000 steps to your goals. So that's huge. I mean, that was a big thing for me when I first heard that, like, no way, I mean, it really helps out. So the 3x5 note card is definitely one thing that helps alleviate a lot of stress with me. Another thing, several of the coaches mentioned this too, and it's gratitude. Gratitude is huge. And I love that many of my friends know how much I love my gratitude journals, that I've gotten some as gifts. So I have multiple gratitude journals. I have some for those days that I just really want to remember everything. So I have one, this is one of like 2 or 3 that's just, oh, that doesn't work because that page isn't filled up yet, but it's pages upon pages, detail, like these are the days on those really yucky days. I sit down and I read this because I write down who was there, how we felt, what we did. The memory is like solid right there. And then, so that helps on those really yucky days, whether it's stressed out or it's, we have those days where we lose people, we just don't have the right day, all that kind of thing. And then my friend gave me this one for my birthday, and I love this one because this is good for the really busy days. This particular gratitude journal is just a little tiny blippet each day, and you can write just little bullet points. I was grateful to spend the afternoon with my son. I was grateful to go out to eat with my daughter. I was grateful to be able to help somebody do this today. And it's super quick and short, but it's still, you go back and look. I think this week is the 1/3 of the way through the year, where I've been grateful every single day, and I've written something every single day. And so that's actually one of my goals, is to fill out this whole journal this year. But it helps your mindset, and my kids are even, both my student kids and my children are even starting to pick up on that, because when something yucky happens, they go, well, you can be grateful that we didn't have this happen today, or, you're grateful that it wasn't daddy that got hurt today. It was that other guy. That stinks. It was that other guy, but we're so grateful it wasn't him. So, I mean, they're picking up on those little nuggets, which are awesome. So those would be my top two that I could share with you, is the 3x5 note cards and gratitude. Just roll out that gratitude all the time. It's huge.
Cool. So it's almost like, I hear you saying the 3x5 card is almost, it really just helps you map out the next day. So the day is not happening to you. It's like you're designing the day.
Yes. And that's the teacher planning in me too. So I like to plan. My stuff out. So in the classroom, it works better when you have a plan rather than going in there and flying by the seat of your pants, right? Those days aren't always your best days.
Yeah. Okay, so the oranges and versus the Skittles, like the Skittles, the oranges are the goal, like the more goal-centric stuff, right? Whereas like the Skittles are the day-to-day, like got to get the trash out this afternoon because it's going tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Got to unload the dishwasher. All those things are on the Skittles, but then the oranges are, Aaron's running a 5K in August and he's training for the 5K. So today he's going to run or whatever.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Love that. I think that's beautiful. And I know that when I do write down my list the day before, shockingly, the next day is so much better.
It is. And it's hard to stick to it every single day. And you have to, like Gina said, you can't be perfect.
Right.
Don't expect yourself to be perfect. If you go on vacation, you don't have to do your list every day. Your list could be being present with those that you're with. I mean, that's part of our family goals. That's part of our faith goals or whatever. I mean, they don't have to be done all the time. Give yourself grace for those days that you're not doing it every day, but it sure does help.
And gratitude when stress levels are high, right? I mean, so many teachers throughout the years have said, like, whatever we focus on will grow. It will magnify. Yeah. So if you're going to focus on the stress, it ain't going away. It's going to get
absolutely. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. Saying gratitude and really committing to that journal. I feel like Sarah and I, some evenings, I would say probably 5 out of 7 nights, we'll just do like, hey, what were 2 highlights today? And it's just, before we go to sleep, and it's, maybe it'll last 2 minutes each.
Right.
Sometimes it'll be 12 minutes, or whatever, but it's just so helpful to go to sleep on that versus
yes,
my lists.
100%.
You know, or whatever. So, all right, Collette, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, Wendy. I'm excited to hear your answer to this one. All right. So, is there a world issue or challenge that you feel particularly passionate about helping to heal and improve during your lifetime?
Yes, there is. And it's what really has solidified what I love to do as a coach. And this goes back to what I shared with earlier about how going through the fires of life gives us wisdom and experience that we can turn back and help others through that same fire. And one of the probably hardest fires that I've ever had to go through was when my husband was an active alcoholic. And I know that at the time I felt very alone. I felt scared. I felt hopeless. I didn't want to share it with anybody because I was embarrassed. I didn't think anybody else was going through this. I thought I was the only one. And so I was just embarrassed by that. And that for me changed 12 years ago when my husband did go into recovery and is still sober today, which I am grateful for every single day. But the key in that is that my husband found recovery and healing, but so did I. Because when you are in that cycle of alcoholism or addiction with somebody that you love, you very much lose yourself in that. And just to reiterate what you just said a little bit ago is, what you focus on grows. And sadly, when we're in that situation where a loved one is struggling, we tend to focus on them. We tend to focus on the problem. And I guess what I'm passionate about with my coaching is to let people know, to share that hope that there is hope for people that are going through that right now, that you're not alone, that I have been there and I would love to hold on to your hand and help you walk through that, whether it's as a friend or whether it's as a coach. It doesn't matter to me. But what I love about the OOLA program with respect to that is that OOLA helps you focus on you. Because one of the things that we learn in our own recovery is that we cannot focus on the other person. We only have control over what we do and say and act. So part of this whole process for people is understanding that they have to focus on themselves. And to me, that's the beauty of OOLA, because you are focusing inward on what you can change for you. And that you have to be whatever change you want, you have to live that yourself. And you have to start with you. It has to start here. And it has to start here. So what I'm super passionate about and what I love about being an OOLA coach now is that it's not about me anymore. It's about sharing my experiences and my hope with other people so that they don't have to feel scared and alone. And that there is somebody out there that has your back. And we understand. I've been through that fire. There's many of us that have been through that fire. So I guess that is the biggest thing for me, is just letting people know that it's okay, that you're not alone, and that we are here just as a group of coaches, and just even, for instance, joining our Facebook group called Live Differently. Like, this is all about positivity and uplifting and really supporting one another through whatever it is that we're going through in life. So I guess to bring it back around to that issue or that challenge that I would love to improve, I would love to have an impact. If I can impact one person who's going through this right now and make it so that they can make a positive change in their life, that'll be worth it for me, because I'm here to serve. I have a heart to help people, and that is just something that I'm particularly passionate about, because I do see the beauty on the other side of that recovery for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome, Wendy. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
So happy for your husband and for you.
Thank you. I am grateful every single day for that.
Yeah. Woo. So huge, so important. And I love your passion for, so just like bringing hope, letting people know they're not alone on the journey. And that just feels like, that's why this coaching feels so divine for you. It sounds like it's just like, yes. I want to walk with people.
Mm-hmm. Walk with them. That's a really good way of putting it. Let's walk this together.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rob, what is a challenge that you have overcome that changed your life?
So when I was sitting at earlier, when I talked about OOLA and I was sitting there, one of the things that I'd always struggled with my whole life was weight. And I had gained and lost hundreds of pounds throughout my life. And it's always been a pain point. As I sat there and I put a goal in that December of 2019 that I would lose 60 pounds by October of the next year, I honestly, Aaron, I didn't know how I was going to do it, because I was at the point where I gained and lost so much weight in my life. Like losing the weight was never the problem. Like I knew how to go on a diet. Like I did that really, really well. It was just, when I lost the weight, it would stay off for like 2 seconds because I didn't know what to do with the mental part afterwards. So I really just sat there and I just really thought, what are you going to do differently? And I knew instinctively that I had to break through this, because it was also an addiction, a food addiction. I have a food addiction. And I knew that the key to unlocking the rest of my life was busting through this addiction that I had. I mean, so what, in 2019, I would have been, 53, 54, and something I'd been dealing with since my mother died when I was 12, just 2 months before my 13th birthday. And that's kind of when it all started. So I knew sitting there that I had to do something differently. And then Kevin touched on this earlier. When Troy was talking at the end of OOLA, he talked about integrity. And I'm like, well, I'm integrity. I have integrity. I work for a bank. I've worked for a bank for years. So of course I have integrity. But then he's like, well, why do you break your promises to yourself? Why do you not keep your word to yourself? Why do you not matter? And I'm like, ugh. And it's true, because I always was good at keeping my word to other people, but not to myself. So that year, which is a much bigger story, but I really focused on what I could do each day to get there. I didn't know how it was going to do it. I didn't know what it would look like, but I knew that each day when I wrote my goals of the 3 things I would do the next day, I started learning about what I could do to affect that number. And it really isn't even about the diet. It's not about how I lost the weight. It was just really about getting in touch with a lot of the emotions that I'm still holding in and that I'm still like working on letting go, and healing that. I built that addiction for over 40 years, so it's not going to go away overnight. But what I will say is that through the process I went through and using the OOLA framework and the support of the OOLA community, I was able to lose the weight. And actually I lost it by June rather than October. And I've definitely gone up and down through the journey. My weight has fluctuated probably within 5 to 7 pounds at any given time. But even that is a huge win, because in my prior life, I probably would have gained every pound back by now, if not more. But with the OOLA framework, I've learned that one day at a time, I can do the things that I want to do, and that I doesn't have to be perfect, because I was always trying to be perfect. and that I know that I have people that I can talk to when I'm processing emotions. But the biggest thing is if I can't hold myself accountable and have that integrity to myself, then my word doesn't matter to anybody else. And that's been a really hard pill for me to swallow. And even in my own relationship, you know, my husband called me out a few weeks ago and he's like, "You're available for everybody else, but not at home." And I'm just like, and I had to own up to that. So again, it goes back to, you know, doing what I say I'm going to do. But getting through that addiction, it's still something I struggle with. But I keep myself in check and I keep moving forward. It has opened up so many other doors for me that I never thought possible. Like a year ago, I never thought I'd be sitting here with everybody here and talking on a Zoom call, and talking to you. You know, a year ago, I couldn't even look at myself on a video camera because I couldn't look at myself. So the fact that I can do these things now is just a huge testament to taking the little steps every day. And that's why the daily actions are so important. It's not about how big, it's about taking steps every day. And as long as we keep moving forward every day, we can have what we want to have. So that's just been a big ray of sunshine in my life.
Awesome, Rob. Wow. I mean, you know, I want to get a coffee with you and hear more. But as all of you are sharing,
Anytime.
when's our coffee date, y'all? Oh yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, some intimate details there that, whoosh, yeah, cheering you on, you on, and you're healing. And I know there's folks that are hearing all the stories today and are like, whoa, yeah, I connect with that. Oops, yep. Like you sharing about your husband, like, hey, you show up for all these other people, but I mean, that makes me think about my own self a little bit. You know, I'm like, yep, all right, Aaron, where's Sarah this week? Right? Lock it back in, bro. Lock it back in, you know, so thanks for being honest and sharing your heart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, really quick, Aaron, I just want to say something really quick because Amy talked about this before.
Yeah.
I also want to express gratitude to the Lehman family because if it weren't for my friend Aaron telling me about Ignite, and if you know Ignite had never been existed, I don't know that I'd even be here today because it was really that event that I heard the guys for the first time. So, you know, I do have a lot of gratitude to you and to your family for everything that you all have created. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Okay, Amy, Coach Amy. And again, I know we're mindful of time. Those of you who are enjoying this on podcast or if you're on YouTube, Wendy, I know you might have to roll on out of here in a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, we'll see as far as time goes. But thanks for being here. Again, those of you who are with us on podcast or YouTube, thanks for being here. Thanks for dropping in. We believe in you and we believe in your goals and dreams. And yeah, it's fun to hear each of your testimonials today. So Amy, if you'll share a little bit about, outside of the OOLA book, is there another book or author that has inspired you and how have they positively influenced you?
You know, when we were going over the questions this week, I played it off like, oh, I'll do number 5 if nobody else wants it. But I was seriously so excited about this question. Since I became an entrepreneur, I really worked hard on personal development. And so I got to go back through my Audible and look at all the books that I've read and see which ones truly inspired me. And I think you'll like my number 1, Erin, because I know you've seen hers too. But there's a few authors that come to mind. So Jen Sincero and the Badass books. I just love all about unprogramming the things that we all learn from the time we're born. Rachel Hollis's books. I love everything the Hollis company puts out. I use her daily journal books where you do gratitude and stuff. I use those all the time. I also love her Dave Hollis, her now ex-husband's book. He's got a great book that's along the same line as like Girls Wash Your Face, but it's called Getting Out of Your Own Way, A Skeptic's Guide. And it's a really, really, really good book. I love them so much. But my number one most impactful book over the last few years is Mel Robbins' 5-Second Rule. Like, boom, we got to hear her talk in Las Vegas. We got to hear her talk at convention. That woman, using her premise of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 has gotten me up off my butt more times than I could ever even care to admit to. The whole premise behind that book, as some of you know, is that she was in a deep depression. They were going through financial issues. She was going to have to file for bankruptcy. She couldn't even get herself out of bed. A rocket launch was on TV and they're doing the countdown. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to light myself up out of bed like a rocket. And she did. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Got up, got out of bed, and her life changed. And you know, it's more than just getting out of bed. It's like you want to go to the gym. The whole metacognition thing behind it is that when you decide you're going to do something, you have 5 seconds before your brain is telling you that you're not going to do it. So, hey, I'm going to go to the gym today. 5 seconds later, man, you know, but it's going to make me really sore and I'm going to do that thing tomorrow. Or, you know, man, if I go to the gym now, though, it's going to rush me for something else. But if you just get up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get off your butt and go do it. Making those tiny shifts for all of these little tiny decisions that we all make throughout the day, you really put your life back into, you know, into the direction that you want it to go. So Mel Robbins' 5-Second Rule is my number one book of like the last 5 years of my life that I absolutely love. And if you go on Audible, she's got a bunch of other little Audible originals that she does that are also super amazing.
Awesome, Amy. Yeah, thanks for sharing those. That's so good. And the Hollis, the Hollis world, the badass books, and then this, yes. Yeah, I mean, I got emotional just hearing you talk about the 5-second rule because it's like just such a shifter, right? Where
GoPro, like I remember listening to her talk at GoPro and I was like, who is that woman in the sneakers and the skirt? Like, I want to know everything about her. I love her. I love listening to her. She had a talk show for a while. I love her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're listening today and you need some rocket fuel to just get yourself back into the goal game. Like if you've got a goal that's just been sitting there, a dream that's just been sitting there and you're like, okay, tomorrow's Monday. Here we go. Let's rocket. Maybe throw on a little Mel Robbins, find her on Audible, find her on YouTube. Yeah. Good stuff. Cool. All right, Darla. So I would imagine, because Our Healing Voices is, it's been around about almost coming up on a year here soon. So we've got new listeners who've been around for a while. Some listeners may be brand new to this body, mind, spirit, wellness world. And just like, oh my gosh, where do I start? I mean, these people are telling me to read that book. These people are telling me I need to start meditating. These people are telling me I need to go back to church. These people are telling me there's a lot of calls to action, and online, I definitely feel that, right? Especially in the wellness world, because there are so many options and so many modalities. What would you offer somebody who's kind of just getting started? What guidance might you offer them as they're just beginning to take those courageous first steps?
Sure. We mentioned earlier in OOLA, we say you be you, right? In mind, body, spirit, you get to be in charge of you. In our medical arena, there's use it as a tool to improve your health. I've been a women's health nurse practitioner for 20 years, and Western medicine is focused on evaluation, diagnosis, and treatment. And many patients, they'll go to the doctor to get medicine for what ails them, right? And I totally get that. And if you're a woman and you came to me and you had an infection, I can write you a prescription for an antibiotic, and I do that several times a day. But why did you get that infection? What happened? So if you get it once in your life or whatever, fine, move on, right? But if you're going to the doctor several times for similar things, then what's really going on? What do you need to do differently? And so many women suffer from fatigue, and struggling with weight and stomach issues and sleep issues and hormone imbalance. And when they come to the office, they want a prescription for it. And this might sound a little harsh to some of you, but at some point you have to get to a healthy level of disgust and you have to say, I'm gonna do something, right? But when someone eats a meal, we've all done it, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that, right? And then you take a Tums and it certainly helps, but you're like, oh, that pizza, that Mexican food, that whatever. Oh, and then time after time, our just American culture, our food choices don't tend to change, but instead the Tums progresses over to Nexium or Omeprazole or something else. And I'm going to be harsh here, you guys, but you're not deficient in Nexium. So when we step back and we look at it, there is really an opportunity that we can change. But in fact, change isn't easy. And how many of you like change? Like, no, we like the status quo. We like to be comfortable in what and how we live, right? It's hard. Plus, nobody ever taught us really how to change our lifestyle, right? So I'm going to tell you a secret to change. And a lot of these OOLA coaches have done it. And the secret is, ready? It's when you decide. That's the secret. It's really tough to get started on a new lifestyle because we don't know how. And for me, I've been Western medicine, I've been doing American culture. And it wasn't until, 6 years ago or so, I didn't even realize things that weren't healthy for me. I didn't understand that artificial fragrance, like those amazing candles that make your house smell amazing and those super cool lotions at the girly lotion store, weren't healthy for us. And then it took some education. And I'm all about learning, so I dove into it. When I got introduced to this, I dove into that. And I was like, well, what? You mean I can't use my pretty smelly lotion anymore? What in the world? Why? And so I learned about it. And the truth is that those artificial fragrances may be the cause of many hormone dysfunction, this hormone imbalance. There's a lot of different respiratory and cellular changes that really scientifically go deep into your body. It's a big thing that more than this little podcast can handle right now. But it's huge. It's this whole other world, you guys. When I first got introduced to this natural stuff, I thought lavender was because you needed to sleep, and lavender helps with sleep. But I'm such a good sleeper. I didn't know that there was anything else, so I didn't really pay much attention to it. And then when I started learning about it, I was like, whoa, this is big, right? So I also want to be clear too that the medical system isn't here to blame. It's driven by pharma, big pharma, and insurance. And seeing patients don't have time in a 15 to 20 minute encounter to guide someone to a whole new lifestyle or teach someone that. And even when most people get to that realization, like when they decide, like, oh, I really need to decide to do something today, it's really, really hard to do on their own. And so they can learn self-development, and we can grab these books and we can listen to podcasts like this, and we can read a OOLA book and we can start our steps. But most people need people, and they need to know that they have someone with them, doing it with them. Doing something with someone else is so much easier than doing it all by yourself. And so that's why it's coaching, and that's why it's life coaching. Like, what does that mean? So all of us have all our different life stories, but that's what we're here for. When you decide that you really want to know more about mind, body, spirit, when you decide, we're here and we'll help you.
Mhm. Mm. I love that. Love that. I got chills all over my body when you said the secret. When you decide.
Yeah, write that down, 3 words. But that's what happened.
Yeah, my body got all
Kevin
sorts of chills. That's
thought
amazing.
about it. Yeah, Kevin thought about changing for years. I thought about changing for years. We didn't do it until we decided.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Those root cause zones it's not fun. Like it's right. I mean, I think, yeah, right. When you start to like look into the
Yeah.
mirror and you're like, ooh, that pattern started when I was 5. Okay.
Right.
Wow. My insecurity really started at 5. And then in my teen years, it just elevated. And then, right. I mean, and then now I'm figuring that out at 39.
So then there's those stages of awakening
Right.
and like, whoa, this is what's going on. But then it's like, okay, now how do I move on? What's the next part?
Yeah.
And so that's what we're here for. That's what we want to help you get to that next step, next stage.
Mm-hmm. Thank
Yeah.
you. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, Kevin. So we're so influenced, all of us here in this room, and also people listening are so influenced by humans we're walking with in life. And the reason this question, I like this question is because at the end of the day, yes, Aaron made his decisions today, but Aaron is also so very influenced by so many different people, and sometimes, I mean, I think about my gratitude journal, right? Or writing down gratitude. It's like, okay, yes, Aaron came up with this or came up with that or made this decision, but like, wow, all the different people that have played an important role in my life. So who have been a couple of the most impactful people in your life, Kevin? Maybe someone from childhood, maybe someone from a more recent time that have been huge influencers in your world.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm glad to share that with you. I could have said somebody famous, who I read about when I was a kid, like Abraham Lincoln or George Washington. And certainly those people are influential and their stories influenced me. And I wanted to be a truthful person and be honest when I grew up. But the person that really did that for me was my dad. And none of you know him except for Darla. And I just remember the example that he lived. He never was a person that judged other people. He always gave them the benefit of the doubt. He actually was a minister. And so it was his job to serve others. And he was just amazing at that work. And it wasn't a job to him. He loved it, honestly. And it never was really clear to me until after he passed away a couple years ago. And I was actually talking to the company that took care of his finances and his taxes for him. And they were helping me with the trust he'd set up, et cetera. And I'm talking to the person I've been dealing with there in the office, and he says, "Oh, wait a minute, our owner wants to talk to you." And I said, "Oh no, there's a problem. I wonder what this could be about." And the owner, whose name was Mike, got on the phone, and Aaron, he told me this story. He said, "Your dad came into our office and he was the nicest man any of us have ever met. He just spread cheer and love to everybody he talked to. And he was interested in them. He would talk to everybody from the receptionist, anybody he came into contact with in our office. We just love your dad. And I just want you to know that we're going to truly miss him. We haven't seen him for several years, but at least we got to talk to him on the phone since he moved closer to you, but he was just an amazing man, and I thought you should know that. And then he got off the phone and he went on about his business, but the owner of the company taking the time to tell me that story just made me realize, wow, my dad was out there impacting lives every day, anybody he dealt with. And it wasn't just me that he influenced other people as well, and in a positive way. And I thought that was fantastic. And my level of appreciation and respect for him jumped even more than it already was at that point. The second person that I would list that has impacted my life more than anyone else on the planet is not a famous author, is not a famous TV host or podcast host. Unfortunately, Aaron, I wish I could say it was you. Instead, it's my coach and my wife and my best friend, Darla McCamey. We have been married for 16 years, and it was a second marriage for both of us. We both had our own issues in marriage and children before, which were hard. And I met Darla, and she was an immediate impact to how I thought about things. I tended to be a negative thinker and a closed, not abundance, but very limited mindset thinker. If it hadn't happened before, well, it's not going to happen again, right? Not going to happen now. And she was very positive, and she would allow me the time and the space to come around to her point of view, which still continues to this day, believe it or not. She is just simply amazing. And she is my coach as I've gone through my fitness journey that I mentioned earlier. She is my personal coach in other areas of my life. She is my faith coach because I don't know anybody on the planet who has more of a heart for God and Jesus than that lady named Darla McCamey. And I don't recommend this for you, audience. I don't recommend that you sleep and eat and live your life with your coach, but it works for me. Since we're married, of course. And so she is always there keeping me accountable and helping me. She doesn't razz me, she doesn't yell at me, she's always just encouraging me, which is what coaches do. We encourage people to find the best in themselves and find out what they really want to do, where they really want to go, identify those goals and dreams, and then, okay, what's the best way for them to move forward? They get to this, that it's you be you. And that's what all of us are all about. And I'm sure you are too, just in the short time that we've talked today. Mm-hmm. So those are the two people that have influenced my life the most. And I'll let you go on to the next coach here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Thanks. Yeah, I definitely wanted to jump through the screen and give you a hug because you were sharing one about your dad. About your dad. That was rocking me pretty deep. What a special man to look up to and walk through life with. Wow. Thanks for sharing about him and his witness and his modeling and loving people, not judging people. Wow. Awesome. And yeah, sounds like you got a dreamy coach. You got a dreamy coach and wife. That's so good. I'm so happy for you and encouraging. Yeah, the encourager, right? And I love that you said like not every, because it is a journey with in marital partnerships, right? The journey of like Sarah kind of needs to do has her own coach reality. If I show up too coachy, she's like, hey. And we have to like just remind each other, hey, not really feeling like being coached right now, just need listening, you know? So, but that's so awesome that you two have that, that you have that partnership. Anyway, thanks for sharing, Darla. I'll give you a hug too for showing up so wonderfully for Kevin in so many ways. That's awesome. All right, Gina, final question, and then we'll kind of move into the one last little go round and close our time. Gina. All right. So I really think that all voices are powerful. And, you know, I think one day you 7 are going to be on the stage in front of a very large audience. I'm just putting it out there. I think it's going to happen. Not sure the timeline, but it's going to happen. And Gina, people are going to be on the edges of their seats, taking notes as all of you are sharing, right? They're just going to be locked in, taking notes. And the mic's going to be passed to you. And they're going to, and the 20,000 people are like, okay, Gina, tell us what's up. Tell us what 2 or 3 things I must know before I walk out of this building. What, you know, and so anyway, what are 2 or 3 wisdom pieces that have, changed your life that you believe could help others?
You're making me nervous, putting me in front of 20,000 people, but you know, we'll see. So when I thought about this question, I really thought about my journey in my own healing. And so my couple words of wisdom. The first one is fear is a liar. Do not let it stop you from reaching your dreams. As kids, our parents use fear to protect us. You know, with the don't touch that, don't do that, don't fall. Are you okay? You know, constantly we hear that and we do it to our own kids. But then as we start to get a little bit older, we put fears in ourselves because we're trying to emotionally protect ourselves. We want to be liked by everybody. We want everyone to accept us. We don't want to be judged or ridiculed or anything. But the fears just keep going and building, and they constantly hold us back from the people that God created us to be. And I was saying the other day, when we did our lives on our Facebook group, I was saying it's like a spiritual battle between the devil and God telling us, I've placed something inside of you. I need you to live it out. I need you to shine your light. I need you to help other people. And then the devil telling you, you are not good enough. You can't do this. You can't help people. And it's over and over and over. And we fight these every single day. And trying to come out of the fear is very hard because it'll stop you in tracks, and it's so debilitating, and it's so scary. And in OOLA, what we use the Ready, Set, Go method, where basically we're taking that blocker of fear and we're saying, okay, I'm fearful in this moment. What if I give into the fear, what is this going to do? Or if I overcome the fear, what is this going to do? So you set it in its place, you get ready, and you just take action. That's going to be the biggest way to get over fear is just by doing it and taking action on it. And I had said earlier about the perfection thing. I read this thing and it said, perfection is just procrastination in disguise. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, that explains everything. Like all these steps that I had to check off to be perfect. It was just me saying, well, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Over and over and over for so many different areas of my life. And I've never said that I've never considered myself a procrastinator. I'm a go-getter. But if I'm not perfect at it, I procrastinate. So I am a huge procrastinator. And so that was a huge blow to me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. So it's kind of fun to kind of step back from that and be okay with not being perfect.
Hmm.
And you know, when you're doing the perfect thing, you're playing the comparison game, and the comparison game you're always going to lose, because no matter how good you're doing, somebody looks like they're doing better. And I always say, you know, we're all a hot mess, but some of our bows are sparklier and prettier, and you know, it's all wrapped up pretty, especially with social media. We look at everybody's pretty package and we're like, oh, I want what she has, and I want what he has. And you're not looking at your own package and realizing like you've got a lot of really awesomeness too. Cause we're just seeing their pretty stuff. And underneath that bow, we're all hurting and we're all, you know, working on our own things. Okay. So that's my first piece. My second piece is you are worthy. And this really stemmed this month. I had like this huge awakening when it comes to worthiness. And a lot of it had to do with your podcast, Aaron, that you had done on worthiness. I think it was your episode 20. And you were talking about where you find your self-worth. And it really made me take a step back and say, where do I find my self-worth? And my whole life, I've always found my self-worth in what I thought people thought of me. So I've always thought people thought I wasn't enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I always had to be, you know, perfect and pretty and skinny. And when I wasn't those things, I thought people would be like, well, Gina's not this and Gina's not that. And I've heard, you know, I've had weight struggles as well. And, you know, I used to hear, well, you have a pretty face. And I'm like, that's a blow, you know, stuff like that. And so I constantly put my worth on what I thought people thought about me. And then I talked to some people and, you know, I expressed that and they said, we never thought that about you. And I'm like, what? So for all these years, I've let people's, what I thought, opinions of me stop me because that's what I thought. And it was lies. It was fear-based lies that I told myself. And, you know, I didn't say the things I wanted to say. I didn't do the things I wanted to do because I thought, well, that's what they're going to think about me because I'm not worthy of them. And that was just like this huge, Aaron knows because he got a message from me. I just had this huge weight lifted off of my shoulders. Like, are you kidding me? I'm worthy. And I determine my worth, and God determines my worth, and the work that I do determines my worth. And that was so huge and completely changed the image of myself. So now I look at things and I say, you know what, I am worthy of that. And I'm going to work my tail off and I'm going to get it because that's what I want and that's what I deserve. So it's really cool to finally like believe that about myself and believe that I can make a difference and I'm worthy. And so those are my two pieces of advice.
Yes. Thanks, Gina. Oh, that's amazing. Just mic drop it. Boop. Yeah. That was awesome. That was awesome. And such huge reminders of the voices, right? That you know, subconsciously, they just keep replaying and replaying and replaying, and fear starts to just like hang, right? Sometimes it feels like so. And so it's just so beautiful to hear you talk about just being able to identify now. Oh, that's like a voice of fear. Yeah. That's actually not in alignment with my understanding of my worthiness in the eyes of God. Like that actually is not, yep. Thanks fear. I see you. But like.
Another thing I've been reading too is Brene Brown's book. And she talks about, you know, we let all these critics in, and I'm done with that. Like if you don't want to get in the ring and fight the battle that I'm fighting, your opinion means nothing to me. And I think we should all, you know, embrace that and say, we are here to change the world. We want to make a difference. And if you don't want to be a part of it, that's fine. And I'm not going to listen to it, but don't bring your negativity to me because we're fighting. So if you want to fight with me, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to jump in this love game, transformation game, change the world game. Come on now. I love it. I love that, Gina. So good. All right. Well, could we do and I don't know if we can do this a fast go around on this last closing zone, or what do y'all think? I just need like a head nod. Are you down to do it real quick? So I was hoping that we could just have each person, and we'll just go right in order, just share the F that you're working on right now. I think that's something that, and we've all heard it today, those of you who are on YouTube or on podcasts, like we're all in process, right? We're all in process. One of the things I love about my mom the most is she's close, she's going to be 68 in August, and she just is constantly evolving and doing mirror work and listening to stuff and having hard conversations. And I just think that model feels so important to me, because I choose to be the 98-year-old that is healing, that's still in the process of healing, and so then I can say adios in that zone, right? As I've been in process. So that being said, we're all in process. Everybody, and all of us that are here today, we're all in process. Aaron's still got his junk he's working through. Kevin, Wendy, Amy, Rob, Darla, Collette, Gina, we're all working through our own zones that are not as easy, So if you would be open to just doing a shorter go around on just an F that you're focused on, because we're talking about the 7 Fs that OOLA invites people to focus on, creating goals within those zones, within each of those zones. So it's family, fun, friends, faith, field, and faith. No, I already said faith. And
Fitness.
Fitness. Okay, I guess I need to go work out after we get off here. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so Collette, start us off. What's an F that you're working on right now? And this just reminds all of us that, hey, you're not alone. Let's keep going. Let's keep growing. Let's keep getting stronger.
Gosh, it's a hard one for me to answer just one, because my word is discipline, and my word is really discipline in each of those Fs. I would say my favorite one is probably a friends or a fun one. I'm pretty good at doing those kinds of things often, but I definitely need to work more in faith, for sure.
Love it. Wendy, how about you?
So my big OOLA one this year is around family. And for me, and I'm going to read what I wrote down. I want an authentic, connected, vulnerable, real marriage. A rock solid, have fun, live life to the max together. And then for me, it's around, what do I need to do in order to move that forward? And that's really what I am focusing on this year. So that's my F.
Prayers, you got it. You got it, Wendy. How about you, Rob?
So for me, fitness was the hardest. That was my biggest struggle. And my second that I'm really working on this year is finance. I just have a lot of old stories, a lot of old recordings about that topic from going way, way back. So I'm really working on undoing a lot of the stuff that I've done. And, it's a work in progress, but getting really honest in that area.
Mm-hmm. I believe in you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do. How about you, Amy?
So hard, like Collette said, it's really hard to pick just one, because we're all about balance. I think the last 12 months I've worked really hard on fitness, because I had 3 surgeries, a bunch of health stuff came up. Now that that's gone better, I've got that more in balance. I am working on family, intentional time with my kids, promoting the things that they need to, to learn, getting their health in check. So family is what I'm working on.
Awesome. Love it. Darla, how about you?
My word of the year is passion. And Kevin and I have intentional, passionate marriage. So we're helping people with their marriage. But my OOLA one goal this year is I reach back into the fire and I help women get their happy back through OOLA, through living OOLA.
Awesome. Go you, Darla. Go you. How about you, Kevin?
Well, I'm following my coach, and I am, of course, working on our intentional, passionate marriage. And we actually have a group where we do lots of videos, a Facebook group called Intentional Passionate Marriage that people can join. So it's free. You can watch our videos and watch how silly we are sometimes and laugh at us. And if it helps you get through the day, then we hope that can help. And we're also, of course, willing to coach couples, individuals. If just one of the partners is ready to have some coaching, we're willing to do that. And we're definitely working on that for family. And then secondly, we also, of course, working with a few of the other OOLA coaches here, have a personal favorite of mine, finance. We have green gap coaching that we can offer. And so we're 3 or 4 of us, Wendy and Rob and Darla and I, have been certified to actually teach that process and help people get out of debt. Debt is a terrible thing. When you realize you have to get up and go to work because you have to pay for all this stuff that you bought, a lot of it you don't need, and you don't even use it anymore. It's just taking up space in your house. And now the credit cards are charging you way too much. Then yeah, that's what we're working on in our own personal lives. And we've been very successful at that, thank goodness. And so that's where we're at.
Love it. Love it. How about you, Gina?
I'm always working on my fitness goals. I have fun with that. And I like to share a lot of stuff in our Live Differently on Purpose page on Facebook. And then my OOLA one this year is actually in faith. I want to grow my relationship with God. And the reason I chose that is because I know that once that relationship is solid, it's going to be a good foundation in all of the other areas. And we're 3 months in, and I am so excited at where I am right now. So I'm excited to see what the rest of the year brings. And it's really fun to see all of, God's blessings and just this last year. And it's been amazing. So that's what I'm working on.
Sweet. Oh, all right, y'all, just grateful to each of you for being here, making time today to drop in and share your hearts. And I'm just trusting folks who have caught this on YouTube or podcast to just connect with the OOLA world. Live Differently on Purpose is your joint kind of Facebook page. So if people wanted to lock in immediately after listening, that would be a good way to just be able to find all of you. I'll also make sure I get each of your contact info so that I can have that in the description on YouTube and also in the description on the podcast. So that'll, so people can connect if they resonated specifically with one of you or something, that they can connect with you individually. But yeah, just grateful for the healing work each of you are choosing. We all know that our healing has such a huge impact on what our future, the future generations are going to experience, and I know that courageous healing that each of you are doing. I mean, it's for each of us, right? It's helping me when I'm taking care of myself. It's helping Kevin. It's helping Amy. It's helping all of us, right? When we're taking care of ourselves, but it's also the next generation. My mom and dad are always like, we want you guys to do it better than we have. Do it better than we have. We know we've done good, but you guys can do it a little bit better. And so what if, right? What if we could that could be passed along? What if mirror work could be passed along? What if OOLA could be passed along generationally, where it's inviting a whole nother way of living and being alive? Going back to what you shared earlier, Darla, it's just this, we're alive, y'all. We're on an earth. This is incredible. So if you are a first timer on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, thanks for being here. Thanks for dropping in with us on episode 24 with these beautiful OOLA coaches. And just know you're not alone on your healing journey. We're all down to walk with you, number one. And also know your voice is huge. Your voice is huge. Nobody has walked through what you have walked through. Nobody has experienced what you have experienced. And because of all of that, the good, the ugly, the in-between, you're so unique and special, and your voice needs to be heard, you know? And as you transform, I pray that you feel empowered to share your voice. I pray that you feel empowered to send me a message and say, hey, I'm ready for you to interview me. Because really, this is, in my opinion, this is how transformation is going to happen in our world. You know, when I think about all the chaos, maybe politically around the country and around the world, I kind of think that it's going to take inner healing on our parts to influence what's going on in the macro level. So starts with us, one day at a time. Thanks for being here today. Love y'all. And thanks for tuning in to episode 24 of the Our Healing Voices podcast and YouTube channel.
Thanks so much for having us, Aaron. We certainly appreciate it.